Just normal. Let's talk about slavery.
Today's subject, slavery.
Today, if you were to say that white people were slavers,
Yes.
they owned slaves, specifically
Yes.
black people as
Yes.
slaves, nobody would dispute that.
Yeah, because it's historically true. We have mountains of evidence to say, yeah, they were slave owners.
Everybody would just nod their heads in agreement. But is that true? If you were to look up the exact percentage of the white people that owned slaves, you would be shocked to find out that it isn't the case. Let's look at some exact statistics here. According to Duke University, when it comes to the states of the Confederacy, at least 20% owned one slave, while in other states it went up to 50%. One statistic they always leave out, though, is that if you take into account the northern states, in the 1860s, only 1 to 2% actually owned slaves.
So, northern states, 2%, 1 to 2% owned slaves. Obviously, this isn't states that didn't abolish slavery, and southern states, 20 to 50%. Combine that, and you might get 80, like 90% of the total population.
1 to 2%. That means we're able to make this generalization about a group of people based off
Because it's morally wrong.
of the actions of 1 to 2%.
Yes, because it's morally wrong.
But then people would say, ho, wait, I'm talking about the Southerners, the white Southerners that had up to 20%, maybe even 50% in some instances. Those were the slavers. We can say,
Well, it's because they wanted to preserve it. Here's the issue with some of them. Example, some white farm owners were worried in the North, were worried about the 1 to 2% who had free labor. The other ones, the 20 to 50, wanted to keep this because, well, it made them a lot of money. It's really it.
that those white people were slavers, ignoring the fact that whenever people bring up slavery, they always just say white people without specifying which group specific.
Let me guess, are you going to bring up the Jewish? All right, I'm going to have to bring up how many Jews owned slaves in the United States. Well, some Jews, primarily in the South, it was not widespread the practice within Jewish communities. Jewish slave owners compared to non-white Jewish slave owners. So, because limited ownership, Jews were involved in slave trade to a small degree, about 1% as slave owners. Or they're even less. So basically, they're also like the 1%. And you may, this is important because he's going to like bring this up later.
They just say white people, ignoring that fact. Let's play along. Let's say that you can generalize a group based off of the actions of 20%. You're going to be forced to say some very uncomfortable things. Now,
Yes.
I'm not saying this. I would never.
Ah, you are.
But if I were to generalize people and say that white people owned slaves, I would also be forced to say that men are
Okay, you're saying, why did he censor the word black people?
people and say that white people owned slaves. I would also be forced to say that men are felons.
Okay, yes. Majority of them, like, this is like 33%, so yes, they're felons.
Women have herpes.
Okay. Yes. Well, this is different. The herpes thing is you have it or you don't. It's not the same with like slavery. It's like you participated or not.
People are fatherless.
Yeah.
Look at these numbers.
My question is, since this guy's gonna bring up statistics, he's probably not gonna do anything about it. He's not gonna fix the fatherless problem of black people, nor the felon issue. Because why? This guy's using this only for the sake of argument.
This is worse than 20%. You're able to say that white people owned slaves.
Yes.
Were slavers because
Yes.
of 20%. But
Yes.
if you said any of those things, you would be chased down quicker than a black person by the KKK.
That's actually kind of funny.
Yet these same people have no problem generalizing whole groups of people being white people because of the actions of 20%.
Well, we don't really do it today. If you're saying generalize, and this is like the radical left, and yes, I will agree with you. But most normal, like left liberals and shit, they're not going to generalize the modern white person of slavery because they didn't participate into it. But it was built in our system in the United States. That's really it.
At worst, if we only count the Confederacy, not white people as a whole in America,
Yeah. If we combined it, it's like
which
21%.
only made up 1 to 2% of all slavers. We don't even need to touch.
Yeah, I get it. It's still morally wrong. I don't care if it's 1%. I don't care if it's 20%. It's morally wrong. Even modern day slavery is morally wrong. Wage slaves are morally wrong. What they're doing in Africa is morally wrong. Sweatshops are morally wrong, regardless if it's China or LA or Vietnam. They're all wrong.
Touch on the fact that black people, when they were free, they would become slavers themselves. They didn't care at all. They had no
You are correct, but I think if that's like well, yeah, it's a small number, and still, it's morally wrong.
problem enslaving other black people. I mean, who sold them to America? It was black people that kidnapped and enslaved other black.
If I'm correct, these black people needed weapons for war, and they just in their culture they just sold. That's what they did. They sold slaves.
People and traded and sold those black people to white people. But no, it's not politically correct to say that. We just gotta blame old Whitey. Now,
Because that's how it started. And then there's also historical accounts, I think, we kidnapping them or something. If I'm correct. It white Europeans start uh start like isn't like kidnapping Africans out of Africa. Yeah, capture slaves. Yes, you're accused captured enslaved Africans. So this is just enslaved ones. Early European settlements, blah blah blah. Into the colonies. It's just gonna keep giving me a Wikipedia page. Equal rights justice. Alright, here we go. Origins, speed run. I think we can just control F and kid kid kidnapped. Yeah, between 1501 and 1867, nearly 13 million people were kidnapped, forced into slavery. So yeah, he's not wrong. Africans did sell it, but he's undermining the fact that like there's Europeans also kidnapped them.
to white people. But no, it's not politically correct to say that. We just gotta blame old Whitey.
Yes, because you have shown to kidnap them as well. It's some of you didn't actually did it the free market way where the black people sold them. You literally also have shown with the stuff I shown there, literally they kidnapped them as well. They just took them. They just took a bunch of Africans without buying them.
Now, I know, though, in my comments, my blessed audience, my audience I love so much, my very special audience, they're going to be people saying, well, it was
Acoustic?
the small hat people that were actually the real slavers.
No. They're a small 1%. If he actually saw the data and shit, blah blah blah, they're like 1%. Still morally wrong, but but it's compared to like the 21% of total of normals.
I couldn't find any data actually saying that we're the slave traders. Like, that's a popular meme.
Oh, if it's slave trading, no. The Jews were like 5 to 7% of slave trading only in Caribbean, not Caribbean, in Dutch colonies in the Caribbean. So they had no effect on the American slave trade.
On Twitter, but I couldn't find anything substantiating that. I really think that people just made that up. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day whether it was the small hat people or white people.
Just say Jews. Just have the courage to say Jews. You don't even get that much attention in the first place. You have nothing to lose.
Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't be allowed to say that white people were slavers.
Yeah, we have historical proof that they have done it. It doesn't matter how much of the population did; they still did it. And we had loopholes. And even when slavery ended, the white people literally had loopholes like sharecropping, which didn't end until 1960.
Unless you're willing to also say that people are felons.
Yes.
Have herpes.
Yes.
People are fatherless.
Yes. Yes, I'm willing to say all this. Women have herpes. Black men, like 70, you showed 70% black men, fatherless. Black people are felons. And this, like I said, this guy's not going to do anything about this. He's not going to try to solve the problem because it's the sake of argument.
Personally, I would never say that in real life. People react very violently to words these days. Only in a civil society could we actually discuss these things. But YouTube, if you're watching this video, I want to clarify, none of those statements I made reflects the opinions of this channel. I would never say that people are dangerous.
Okay, he keeps censoring this. This is so stupid.
Or whatever. I'm just simply pointing out the hypocrisy